All
Hello,
official. Oh, wait, I have to click. Got
hello,
it.
and welcome to my public life as American nerd. My name is Eddie, and today we have somebody. But let me explain something to everybody. We're doing an event in October 30th, Scare Fair in San Bernardino at the San Bernardino Fairgrounds in Victorville. Okay, there would not be a Scare Fair if there was not a Jason Pop Culture Expo, because Scare Fair is a branch off of Jason Pop Culture Expo. Now, Jason is a publication company, and today I have with me one of the board members of the publication company, Jason, and she's also an author. She's also a writer. She's also a chief editor. Um, she's written books such as The Chosen, and the other book was let's see,
This is Chosen, and this is
the
Eternally Bound.
Oh, Eternity Bound, yes. Uh, and
She's
she's Stephanie
prepared. Hey,
Bardy.
I am going to plug my wares.
She's definitely Stephanie Bardy. She's going to be at Scare Fair. She's going to have a booth. Welcome aboard.
Thanks. Long time since I've actually been on this side of an interview.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She also has her own podcast called Lupe's Bits, or not
Lupa's Bits.
Lupa's
The
Bits, and that's
podcast.
on Jason Modcast. It's a
Mhm.
Jason Modcast podcast called Lupe's Bits.
It's kind of a free for all.
You used to do another podcast for
I did.
Dark
I
Myth, right?
originally, way back when, Mike Lutz and I did the World of Myth Bits. We started the World of Myth Bits. And then I kind of outgrew it. So Joe and Jenna took over and I started Lupa's Bits, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Um, Speaking of World of Myth, there also is a World of Myth magazine, and you're a chief
Oh, yeah.
editor on that magazine as well, correct?
Oh, yes, I am. I've been editing for the World of Myth magazine since 2019. January 1st, actually, is when I took over as managing editor in 2019. The magazine itself has been around for 17 years. So it's not a new magazine. And I kind of moved my way up from managing editor. I'm now editor in chief of the World of Myth. So I'm enjoying that. I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. It's fun. I get to read a lot of different stories. I get to read a lot of different poetry. I get to look at a lot of different artwork. So it kind of fuels my own creative spark, I guess.
No,
Blanked on a word. watching an author blank on a word is a scary sight.
no, you've been writing for over 20 years, correct?
Yes.
And how did
I was actually talking to a friend of mine last night, and I was recounting a story that I had written, and I realized I had written it in, I think we'd figured out it was 1985. So I was 14 when I wrote it. So yeah, long time.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what age did you start writing, and what kind of books did you start writing, or stories, I should say?
I started creating when I was 4 or 5. I'd get all my little stuffed animals together, and I would do little skits. I'd write little plays, and I would perform them for my family. And one of them I did that I remember distinctly was I took Kenny Rogers' cassette, the one that had Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town,
Not The Gambler.
Lucille, all of those on it. Yeah, it was his greatest hits. The Gambler was on there. They were all on there. And I actually acted out each and every song with my little, I made each one of the songs a production. I think I was about 5 or 6 when I did that.
Well, believe it or not, I know Kenny Rogers. My mom loves Kenny Rogers. So as I was growing up, that would be played on records as I was growing up, watching The Gambler, listening to The Gambler, listening to Lucille, listening to him with Dolly Parton. And yeah, so I'm very familiar with Kenny Rogers. Yeah. Yeah,
As soon as you say Kenny and Dolly, it's like that one. My mom actually
that's
is
the
a big
one.
Kenny Rogers, and she's got the Kenny and Dolly Christmas album.
Oh yeah,
Notice
my
the
mom has
twitch.
that
I
too.
have been listening to that thing since as long as I can remember, and at one point in time, my dad got so tired of listening to it, he actually like used it as a frisbee and flung it outside. She had it on repeat, like, and like it's a LP, it's an actual vinyl. So to
Yeah,
put it on repeat, you've got to like set it up so that the needle comes up, goes
goes
back,
back down.
drops down. She had like, I think it was like the eighth time. It was the week before Christmas, was the eighth time it had played through. And he just picked it and just threw it up out the front door into the snowbank. And yeah, she had a new one the next day.
Now, you are from Canada. Were you born and
I
raised
am
in Canada?
born and raised in
And
Ontario.
you're in a small town. You said population 6,000. Sutton.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a cultural difference for me. I was born in North York in Toronto, and Toronto's got close to almost 3 million people in it now, including all the suburbs, or not including all the suburbs. And then I moved to Barrie, which is sitting at about, I think, 400,000 people. And then when I was in grade 3, we moved to Midland, and that is sitting at 17,000 people.
Yeah,
So I kind of like smaller. And
yeah.
then I moved from Midland over a year, almost a year and a half ago, to Sutton. So I went from 17,000 people to 6,000
And do
people.
you get to Ontario often?
I live in Ontario.
You live in Ontario, close
That's the
enough.
province.
Okay.
Ontario is the province. Sutton is the town.
Well, I'm talking about the actual city of Ontario.
There
Not
is no
city, but
city.
no city, but
Toronto.
the yeah, Toronto, I guess you'd say.
I drive by it when I go to my sister's. I try to avoid Toronto. It's kind of it's Canada's answer to Los Angeles. So most people that live in California that I talk to will avoid Los Angeles as best they possibly can. That's kind of Toronto. Even
Yeah.
those that live in Toronto don't want to be there.
Yeah. Throughout the years, LA's gotten really bad. I've been spending a lot of time in Los Angeles these last few months, and going back to some of the areas that are really, really seedy, and actually working in those areas and stuff like that. It's gotten really bad, but I kind of miss it.
Crime, yeah, the crime is getting up there in Toronto, but mostly it's the traffic because there are so many people. They haven't updated the infrastructure of the roads. So, I mean, you can get in your car and drive for 3 hours to
Hmm.
leave Toronto and still be in Toronto.
Yeah, that sounds like me being up in Victorville. I live in Victorville, which is an outskirt of even San Bernardino County. So I live further than
Yeah.
out in San Bernardino County.
Yeah. When I came
And
up for PCE, I actually stayed in Victorville.
yeah, and then when we drive down to, let's say I went to Orange County this past weekend, it took me 1 hour and 5 minutes to get from Victorville to Santa Ana. 1 hour and 5 minutes without traffic whatsoever, and I got there okay.
Mhm.
But the miles were just a tremendous amount of miles. Now I could have drove around Los Angeles less miles, but triple the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. If I'm going to go anywhere in Toronto proper, like there's all the suburbs, there's North York, there's Mississauga, there's Scarborough, there's Pickering. They're all the outlying burbs around Toronto. If I actually have to go into Toronto, I will park at my friend's place in North York and take the subway. I won't drive in the city. No. And I mean, trying to park in Toronto, you're going to pay $25
Yeah,
in a parking lot
yeah,
that you might come back to and not have tires.
yeah, kind of like San Francisco. San Francisco, you don't even need a car because of the transportation systems.
Yeah.
Their transportation systems are awesome. They have the BART system, they have trolleys, they have buses, and they
I would
have
love to ride
so
one of those
many
trolleys.
different. Yeah, the trolleys
Yeah.
are fun, and so many different ways to get from point A to point B without being in a car. Now, cars, when you have to park a car, you're paying like $100 overnight if you're staying in a hotel. So it's best
Yeah.
not even to rent a car, just take
Yeah.
the public transportation, which is fine.
Yeah.
Now I looked up Stephanie Bardy to get some
There's two of us.
information, and the other one,
She's
I don't,
French.
she's rich, is that what you said?
French.
Oh, French. Okay.
Yes, she
Okay.
is a French author from Quebec.
Okay, that
At
might
least
be
one
a,
that I know of.
that might be a different Stephanie Barty, because the Stephanie Barty that I saw that first popped up was a paranormal investigation.
That would be me.
That's you. Okay, that is
That
you.
would be me.
Okay,
That is me.
I could not see
Beyond
your
the known
face.
paranormal.
Beyond
That
the
is me.
known. Yep, beyond the known. Okay.
Yep.
How long have you
That's
been
me.
doing that?
Oh.
And are you still doing it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My paranormal kit's actually right over there
Okay.
beside my couch, because I live in a very, like I said, I live in a small town, but it's a very old town. The building I actually live in is about 300 years old.
Mhm.
So, and the river behind us has known a lot of death. I have been a paranormal investigator, actively investigating for about 15 years. I've done, I had a team. I do have still a partial team. We're kind of spread out over the province, so it's hard for us to get together. But we've gone in, we've done house clearings, we've gone in and we've done cleansings of actual people. Most of the work that we do in the paranormal field, and you can ask any paranormal investigator, they will tell you, the odds of going in and finding an actual haunting are a lot rarer than you would imagine. I mean, I have stories. I've been doing it for 15, like actively doing
But
it.
have
for
they
15
been caught
years.
on film? That's the thing.
Yes, I do actually have documented proof. I have EVPs. I've got video of the K2 going off as questions are being asked and it's responding. But those incidences are few and far between.
Mhm.
In 15 years, I've got maybe a handful of actual non-refutable, and I mean, you can still make arguments. Most of it is debunking. It's like, okay, no, that's not
Exactly.
somebody banging on your walls. You need to take that
That's the
screwdriver,
car
go
behind
down that
your house.
screw and fix your pipes.
That's the house, the card lights
Yeah.
behind the house reflecting on
Well,
the window and it coming through.
A lot of times people think, oh, they say we hear footsteps, we hear banging on the walls. Well, you go down in the basement and you look at the pipes. There's usually a metal bracket that holds the pipe to the stud. A lot of times that bracket has come loose, so when the water runs through, the pipes rattle and they bang against the wood, which will sound, if it's slightly loose, it'll sound like footprints. If it's even more loose, it'll sound like banging on the walls. Heating ducts, when they're heating and they're cooling, they pop and they crack. I don't know if you have heating ducts. I don't know.
No, we don't.
I don't think you guys have furnaces, right?
It's yeah. Well, no, we have an air conditioning system. Our air conditioning system and heater is above the roof, and then the system goes into the vents that drop down the roof, or the ceilings. But we do hear, this is an older house.
The aluminum ductwork.
We hear a lot of the old wood and
yeah,
the old drywall, because it's an older drywall, cracking. Like you can actually, and it's a specific time, and I think it's a specific time because there's so much activity that's going on during the day with kids walking around, noise,
you don't
TVs,
hear it
we don't
normally,
hear it. So when we're
and at
lying in
night,
bed, you're hearing creaking. Now we
Yeah.
can almost identify it to the T of what time we're actually hearing the same noise every single night. Now there have been
And what I
known to be
usually tell
raccoons on our ceiling or something like that. But
squirrels.
a lot of things I tried to do is debunk. I debunk myself. Like did something touch me? Was that something touched me? Or was that a nerve pulsating? Was that, and I tried to do the same thing.
Well, with the paranormal too, like I've held classes, I've done workshops, I've had students where I've taught them what I know. And the first thing I tell them is you always go in to disprove. Telling me my internet connection is unstable. Hang on a second, I'll fix that.
Actually, we got you pretty good. Now,
Okay.
now, when you go into a house and you're saying, okay,
Mhm.
first thing you're going to do is debunk it, do they get frustrated because no,
Nope.
there's really a ghost here,
No,
and you're saying, well,
no,
let's find out. And
most, we have had a few that desperately want it to be a ghost
Mhm.
because they want the attention. There's one particular case where they were actually using their 7-year-old child, saying that this entity was attacking the child in very inappropriate ways. In talking to the child, it had come out, there was a lot more going on within the family, and they just wanted the attention. The mom wanted the attention, kind of Munchausen's by proxy via paranormal, you know, where instead of making her sick and going to the hospital, she was saying she was possessed, or she was being haunted, or she was being attacked, so that we would keep coming repeatedly. And when one group would say, okay, you know what, you're not doing the things we told you to do, you're not following through, we can't help you anymore, they would move on to the next group in the area. They've actually been blacklisted in Ontario. Nobody in the province will help them, because we all talk, we all compare notes, we all visit the same haunted locations, like the big public ones, we all go to the same places. And then if we get something, it's like, oh, okay, did you get this? And were you in this spot and got evidence? You know, because the paranormal field is it's very hard to prove scientifically, unequivocally, that life after death exists. We want to believe that it does, but there's no way to
no. What do you
unequivocally prove
believe?
it.
What
I
do
believe
you
there
believe?
is.
You believe
I
there
do.
is?
The experiences that I've had.
Now, do you
The
believe that there's different spirits, or it's all the same bad spirit, or are there such thing as good spirits?
My experience has been there are negative entities. Yes, there are positive entities. I have the ability to channel the dead. I get images, I get smells, I get sounds, I will get thoughts and words in my head that aren't mine, and I will relay them to the person I happen to be with. I have no control over what I'm, oh, sorry. I do work from home, so I actually have somebody kind of trying to get my attention at the moment. And I have to tell her that I'm in the middle of an interview.
No, so with smells, okay, because every once in a while, like I said, we live in an older home here, and every once in a while we'll get a strange scent of like a perfume or a cologne
Yeah.
that none of us have ever bought or worn or never would buy or wear, but it's a strong scent.
That, okay. Without, is it flowery?
Musky.
It, okay, to debunk, it could be somebody is it the same scent every time? So you've clicked the paranormal investigator in me now.
It's usually a like an older man cologne, really musky smelling.
Oh, like Old Spice?
No, muskier than Old Spice.
Yeah.
But it is a cologne, and there's also sometimes a woman's perfume that is it's like a real deep rosy scent, and not any of her perfume is like that at all.
Yeah.
But the perfume one is rare, but the musky scent is very common.
My gut feeling is to say that it's just a passing, like you said, your house is old, which means other people have lived there.
Right. Oh, yes.
I know when I die, there are places that were my favorite places that I'm going to want to revisit. If they've had happy memories in this house, they could just be passing through, you know, checking in on seeing, making sure y'all are taking care of their house. It could be a residual haunt, which is something kind of like a videotape of energy that just keeps playing on a loop. They can't interact. They're not cognitively aware that you're there. It's just energetic imprint on the space. So, but yeah, I will get smells, I'll get sounds. I was actually with a friend and we were just kind of driving around doing our thing, just chit chatting. And I completely channeled somebody from their past. I've never met this person. I don't know this person from Adam. They had told me very little about this person, but I was able to bring up details that only this person and the deceased would know. I was saying certain phrases that were this person's, typical things that they would say to this person when they would be in a goofball or something. I have no control over it. I really wish I did because, I could probably make a couple of shekels doing it, but I have no control over it. It just kind of happens. I get energetic feelings when I go into places. I can tell you the minute I set foot on a property, if there's a spirit there, if there's a negative energy there, if there's something there, I know. I just know. It's like paranormal radar.
Now, this is somewhat of a phenomenon because within the last, I'd say, 15 to 10 years, this has become more of a something that's on different channels, like the Discovery Channel, the Travel Channel, the almost everything has paranormal, and there's been paranormal movies and stuff like that. Now, is there one specific one that you enjoy, and is there one specific one that you cannot stand?
Okay. I like ghost hunters. They're more analytical about their approach. But the one that I enjoy the most and the one that I hate the most
is
the exact same show. It's the exact same show.
Zach?
That's the one.
Yeah.
When I watch the show, me and my best friend's sister, my soul sister, I call her. She is the medium on my paranormal team. She is far better than I am. She calls me a baby medium because I'm still learning. She has been.
That's Ghost Adventures, by the way.
Yes, Ghost Adventures with Zach, Aaron, Billy, and Jay Wasley, and I really like Jay Wasley. Jay Wasley he's just
Was he the younger one that's doing his own show? There's a younger one that branched off, and he does.
Oh, you're thinking Nick Groff. He was one of the original guys.
Yeah,
it was. Now
Zach
and Nick
produces his show.
Nick met. It started as a documentary on YouTube. Their very first show was a documentary that they did on YouTube, and it was Zach and Aaron have known each other for years and years and years. Zach met Nick in college, and they shared a common interest in. I know a lot about them. They shared a common interest in the paranormal, and they did this documentary of the Washoe Club in somewhere in Nevada, I believe.
It's in Virginia City, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
and they had some pretty extreme experiences. And the Travel Channel went, ooh, they're charismatic, they're ridiculous. Aaron screams like a girl.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one of the three to hang out with and, have a beer with and pick his brain, it would be Aaron. Because Zach is a big chicken. He won't go into the big, bad, scary places.
Sends Eric.
He will send Aaron into the big, bad, scary places. And now Aaron's kind of put his foot down and went, no, dude. So now they send poor Billy. Poor little Billy. He's end up in tears a few times. But every single episode, Zach does something that is a paranormal investigator no. And I want to go thunk on his forehead. And I know if I ever go to the Haunted Museum and he's there, I am not going to be able to control myself.
And that's actually provoking
I will be banned from Nevada.
Provoking the ghost.
No, now provoking, you can provoke, but you need to be prepared. You need to make sure, like you'll hear him talking on the show about grounding, about shielding yourself against what you go in. And Jay usually before each show will put a shield of protection around all of them. Generally, you envision a white light around you. It depends on what your spiritual belief is, what you do. A lot of it will sage before they go in. They will use sage and they will cleanse before they go in, and then they will use sage and cleanse when they come out. He goes in and the words that bother me the most, because he doesn't do the necessary protection unless they're cutting it out, but reading his books, listening to all of his after crap, um, that's what after crap. He doesn't do the necessary steps to protect himself when he offers up his own personal energy for the spirit to use. You can do that. I've done it. Unfortunately, recently I did it without, again, taking the necessary steps, and I ended up having a very negative, very traumatic experience. He does it all the time. He did a series of what he called his dungeon recordings in his dungeon in his own house, and he was playing around with EVP. You never bring your work home. You're a paranormal investigator. You do not bring your work home. You don't bring your work home. He had eventually had to move from that house.
Mhm.
He bought what was touted as the Demon House.
The Demon
I don't know
House,
if you've
yeah.
seen that movie.
Yes, yes.
That's
Well,
why he wears those
he
really
has a whole
ugly.
documentary on the Demon
Yes.
House. He had
Yes.
but before the documentary on the Demon House, he did the actual show, which he goes out and does an investigation at the house,
Yeah.
and it turned into a.
And then he bought the house.
And then he bought the house and put the steps inside of his museum.
Documentary. That the rumor mill in the paranormal community is what broke Aaron's back, or Nick's back. That's pretty much when Nick separated from the group.
Now, when you go and do your investigations, do you feel a loss of energy in yourself? Or
I used to.
Okay.
I used to, because I wasn't protecting my own personal energy. And now, before I go into a place, I will say a prayer. I will protect myself. I will shield myself. And I carry talismans that will ward off anything and prevent anything from jumping in and catching a ride. We are tired at the end of an investigation, because you are expending that energy to protect yourself. If I do open up and allow a spirit to use my energy or to communicate through me, oh yeah, I'm wiped for at least 2 days after.
Now you're traveling out to California.
I am.
And you're going to be here the weekend of the October 30th,
Yep.
Devil's Night. Zach's museum is only 2 hours from here.
Yes, I'm aware.
And it's such a good weekend.
Actually a conversation I was going to have with Rebecca.
I have not been there. I would love to go there, and we do want to go there.
It is totally on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's totally a place that I want to go to, including a lot of places that he has been to. Now, I talked to the Grim Life Collective about this, so they go to a lot of places. They've been doing this for their YouTube channel has been going from place to place, coast to coast. But the one place I want to go to is where Aaron grew up, and that is at the haunted. I know it's not called the Haunted Forest, Enchanted Forest.
That
in Oregon. It's in Oregon. Yeah, the music park. Yeah. But it's still running. They still have it running, but they have it closed down right now. But
that little girl that drowned in the lake.
Oh no, not that one. That one was that's another one.
Oh no, his was the Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah,
the Hansel and Gretel house.
Yeah, the Hansel and Gretel house that's up in Oregon.
That him and his sister had the experience in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would love to go there. And there's a lot of places that
I have actually I have a couple of like 4 or 5 bucket lists. I have my paranormal bucket list. I want to go to Penn State Penitentiary. I want to go to
driven by it many times, but never been in it.
I want to go to the Washoe Club, obviously. I want to go to Zach's Haunted Museum, just because I want to see some of the artifacts. I am also a collector of haunted objects, a few of my own. So I would like to see his collection and see what's going on. I also have a musical bucket list, which I'm hoping, if the border is open and I can drive to California, I want to be able to do this. Eagles. I will be driving through Winslow, Arizona. I am going to stand my.
Are they playing? Are they going to have a concert?
No. But the song,
the song.
Take It Easy. Yeah. The line in the song is,
Yeah.
stand on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. I am going to stand on a corner in Winslow, Arizona and take a selfie. That's part of my musical bucket list. I want to go to Ventura Boulevard from the Tom Petty song. I want, like, all of these places that are named in songs are places I want to go to.
Yeah, Ventura Boulevard is something. There's a lot of good food there. I love Ventura Boulevard. The one place I was out in Memphis one year when I was working. I used to travel a lot. I used to be out traveling 13 days out of the month and be home for 13 days. And one time when I was in Memphis, I was getting gas and I stopped at a gas station and it was raining really hard. I start pumping my gas and I see this car stop in the middle of the street. And I'm looking over, and then another car comes from the direction, stops in the middle of the street, and they get out of the car to take a picture. Then I see motorcycles come and they do the same thing. And I'm looking, and I looked over to for a little further to my right, and there was Sun Studios
Mhm.
right in front of me
Oh,
where
wow.
Elvis Presley recorded, or Chuck Berry recorded, where
Yeah.
Johnny Cash recorded, and
Yeah.
it's a little studio, and I had to just run over there and take a couple of shots of it too. But
Yeah.
it was something like I was in awe about. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe it's right there in the middle of this little tiny city,
Yeah.
and it's sitting right there, and they still use it. They don't use it. I think they used it as a radio station at the time, but I was just like in awe. It was raining. I ran out in the middle of the rain to take a picture
Oh,
of it.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Photo op.
That
Got
was
it.
one of the things that would have been on a bucket list for me to go see, but I happened to see it by chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of places and a lot of bands that I would like to see. I'm a music lover. Just
Yeah.
yeah. I
Oh, me
was
too. My
fortunate.
my life runs on a soundtrack, and I can relate to just about any any moment in time in my life. I can relate it to a song.
Mm,
Doesn't
that's all
matter
I
what's
am.
happening, I can connect with the lyrics. I guess that comes from being a writer. I connect to the lyrics of a song. I connect to the emotion that the song is trying to portray. A lot of times I will listen to a song and it's not necessarily what the artist was trying to portray, but I take it kind of pertaining to my own life situations.
My remembrance of a song comes from a feeling. I don't know, it's kind of
Mhm.
weird. A feeling of um a nostalgic feeling of that time and period. I would hear the song and know exactly what I was doing at that moment in time. And a lot of those songs, there's certain songs that are really weird because it
Yeah.
would be like, oh, you like that song? No, I don't like the song. I just remembered the song. Like
Yeah.
Blue Bayou. That song is just like a
Yeah.
song
Oh,
that you would
yeah.
never expect me to even know. And it
Yeah.
sticks in my head because I remember going
It's
to
an
a swap meet
auditory.
when I was a kid, and I was probably only like 4 years old, and I used to hear it off of the speakers at a drive-in during the day
Mhm.
because it was a swap meet.
Yeah.
And there's certain songs that hit me,
Yeah.
and a specific note of the song would just bring me back to that time and feeling of what that
Yeah.
is. Not necessarily,
Auditory memory.
yeah. And
Yeah.
my entire life is based upon the music or songs that I've had experiences with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually have a on Spotify a list, and the playlist is um the track list of my life, and it
Mhm.
just plays all those memorable
Nice.
songs, and it's got over
Nice.
1,000 something songs. Yeah, yeah. Just
It's nice.
I was
I
able
have playlists for everything. I
I was able
have playlists for house cleaning. I have playlists for working out. I have playlists for writing. I actually have one called Jazelmon Work Playlist. So if I'm working on stuff for the company, this is the music that I have to listen to. I don't know why, but I need it. It's kind of like background so that it keeps that
yeah.
creative side of me quiet so that I can do the work stuff and then I can do the creative
Now,
stuff.
can you listen to music while you're writing?
Yes. Yes.
And does that
Interesting
inspire
fun
you?
fact though.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Like when I was writing Eternally Bound, I had a specific kind of playlist. I had songs by um, Lorena McKennitt. I got a lot of Celtic songs on there, a lot of unrequited love songs on there, a lot of um, past lives kind of songs. And I would just kind of play, and it was only about, I think, 13 or 14 songs. So I would play it on a constant loop, and eventually that becomes white noise.
Hmm.
And there is one particular song that I use every time I need to kill somebody off in a book or a story that I'm writing. If somebody needs to die, Don't Fear the Reaper is the song that has to play.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the one. Don't Fear the Reaper. And it's kind of funny because I have a writing partner. So when we're writing and that song comes on, they're like, oh, somebody's dying. Somebody, are you okay? What kind of movie? What happened? Or somebody's dying. Who are you
Whenever
killing
I
off
hear
and
that
why?
song from now on, I think of that the Saturday Night Live skit with Christopher Walken and Jimmy Fallon and what is his name? The main guy that does the cowbell.
I thought Christopher Walken did the cowbell. He's like, more
No,
cowbell.
no, he says more cowbell. He's the
Yeah.
producer, and what's his name?
Oh, the other guy. Yeah.
Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's the cowboy
Yes.
guy. He comes out playing the cowbell, and Christopher Walken is the producer. Comes out. I don't know. I need more cowbell.
Mm-hmm.
He says I got a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell.
More
Now,
cowbell. Yeah.
now that song I used to love because of the lyrics, and it used to be one of those songs that I would remember when as I was growing up. But then Saturday Night Live changed that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday night. Okay, for our generation, Saturday Night Live changed a lot of things for us.
Uh, there was one period of Silent Life that I did not watch, and it was when Robert Downey Jr. was on the cast of Silent Life, believe it or not. And I didn't watch a lot of that, and it was complete trash. That's why they trashed the whole season, and trashed.
I've had a crush on Robert Downey Jr. since like forever. So I don't care what he
His
does.
younger
He's
years.
done some pretty bad things.
Well, actually,
He is-
that
his-
he wasn't part of that reason why the cast was so bad. It
no,
was
that was
because
just a
it's
bad
yeah,
season. Like
yeah,
they
because some
once they
good people
started
came out of
losing,
that cast.
yeah, once they
Juliet,
started losing Chevy Chase and
yeah, the original cast.
Dana Carvey, once they started losing them, they it was almost like they were trying too hard to get the laughs that came so easy when they had the church lady, when they had, Candy Graham,
Well, what it is
Shark at the
they
door.
have to have a good blend of uh,
Yeah,
the comical timing, and they had to have a good blend of the writing. Conan
yeah,
O'Brien was a good writer. There was
of course,
there's a
Canadian.
lot of good writers on that cast that were writers prior to coming out and doing the skits themselves. And I think the writers had a lot to do with the success of the show, and then the comedical timing was just perfect.
Yeah, comedy's not an easy thing to do. You have to be pretty sharp with your timing and with your delivery of the line. Like you can't just deadpan the line, you know.
I could still watch this show. I do run into it a couple of times. There was a period of time when I'd have to watch it like every weekend, but I'll watch it on Sunday morning opposed to Saturday Night Live. But I love it for the music. The music was awesome.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
cross that
See, when I
generation
was
gap.
back when it was in its heyday, I mean, that's when we were talking like Eddie Murphy and John Belushi, like
Now
all of
Steve
that.
Martin was a guest, but he was always on it.
It was, oh yeah, he was good. Um,
But Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray during that time,
yeah,
John Belushi.
yeah, like back in that day, when the music would come on, because it was music for my parents at that point in time. That's when I would go and get my snack. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd check on my brother and sister because I was babysitting.
Right.
My parents had gone out bowling. That was the only way I was allowed to watch Saturday Night Live, because my parents weren't even home, so I could watch it.
I don't know why we watched it, but we're up watching it. I think my parents were asleep and we are just up watching TV and
Yeah.
late at night. And that was
Yeah.
kind of one of those shows that was kind of like a naughty thing
Felt
to
like you
watch
were
for a
doing
kid.
something wrong
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
away with it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I would watch it. there's a lot of that TV back then that I
Oh
miss
yeah.
today.
You look at the stuff from our generation and then you look at the people getting offended now. It's like, oh, you never would have survived the 80s.
Oh no,
Not even. Maybe.
the
We had Andrew Dice Clay. We had Eddie Murphy. We had Sam Kinison. Thank you to my friend for
Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, a lot of people hate him, but he was a really he would actually be at the comedy store here in L.A. And he'd just show up on stage, and man,
yeah.
he'd pack that place like
Oh
instantly.
yeah.
He was
He
one of
gave
those
a
comedians
good
that
show.
would.
I'll let you in on a little guilty pleasure of mine. Ford Fairlane.
Oh, love that movie.
That is like one of my absolute favorite
Nobody's
movies.
even heard of it. And I'm like, you
I
never heard of Ford Fairlane? There's so
know.
many
Stupid car.
there's so many different reasons I like that song. One, the car,
Yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay, but
But
Morris
he
Day's in
was
it. Morris Day's in that movie,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
was like really in that movie,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But his character, like Ford Fairlane, was such a removal from his comedic stand-up
Mhm.
persona that I mean he was vulnerable, he was um caring, he was, he wasn't limerick man, you know?
What's that
He
movie?
he was almost respectful.
There's a movie. I can't remember names right now. Um, it'll come back to me. Let's move on. There's a movie that's more current that he's in, that he's playing an older father figure, and it's like you wouldn't even recognize him. The
Yeah, no.
playlist or
The playbook?
yeah, playbook.
No. Yeah,
It's
the playbook. Yeah.
it's something playbook. It's with gosh, I'm drawing blanks today. With Jennifer, what's her name?
Aniston?
The young
Oh,
comedian that was the female in that movie. Geez, I'm drawing blanks today.
yeah.
Yeah, but he plays a character that you wouldn't even recognize him because he's just mellow. He's playing an older father figure. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Johnny Dice Clay was one of my favorites when I used to watch the HBO comedy series. He actually
Yeah.
came out with Rodney Dangerfield, because Rodney Dangerfield has a
That's another one. Yeah. I get no respect.
I used to love Rodney Dangerfield. Man, I love Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And there was also Sam Kinison. A lot of
Yeah. There was Eddie Murphy. I mean, Eddie Murphy, he kind of, I don't know.
Eddie Murphy to
His
me
stand up,
was
he did, Delirious was hilarious. To this day, my family, we're still quoting Aunt Bunny.
yeah. There's a
The
lot
shoe.
of delirious that I could
We
quote as
still
well.
quote Aunt Bunny. Um, and then when he did Raw, you can tell he
How much
came
he
out of it.
matured.
Well, no. um, it was very, as a woman, it was very aggressive. You could tell he had just come out of a really bad relationship and was really, really bitter. I mean, it had its funny moments, but it wasn't the carefree, off the cuff Eddie from Delirious. He was angry. He was bitter. He was out for blood in Raw.
Well,
And that's where the kind of the name came from, is that he was raw.
there were two writers. One was Townsend, and the other one
Yeah.
was Wayne, the older Wayne's brother.
Yeah.
Wrote. I think they wrote both Delirious and Raw, and that was right after the In Living Color was big, and so
Jim
breaking
Carrey.
out from that and trying to go into the comedy, busting out into like more adult comedy, which it couldn't
Yeah.
do on In Living Color. But
I like that show.
oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
They were supposed to do a reunion. I think they're still doing it. There's a
Oh,
couple
awesome.
of people missing from the reunion. David Allen Greer is going to be missing, but I think all the original cast is coming together, and they've been talking about this before the pandemic, that they're going
Mhm.
to come on and do it, and they even have a picture of them all together. And I mean,
Nice.
yeah, I would love to see that come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
but they produced so much after that with the younger brothers doing movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like
and
I don't know.
I
We
look at
had
their I look at the younger brothers movies right when they came out from Living Color, and there's a lot of stuff that they would not be able to do today that they did back
there's like I was at my sister's a couple of weeks ago, and my brother-in-law had put on the Muppet Show.
then.
I used to love the Muppet Show. I watched the Muppet
I'm
Show
a big fan of the Muppet Show.
all the time. Kermit is my frog.
Mhm.
I have a book actually that I showed a friend of mine that I got when I was 10 or 11, called the Miss Piggy's Guide to Life.
Mhm.
And I watch the Muppet Show all the time. And I'm sitting there when I'm watching the Muppet Show with my 3-year-old nephew. And I can't remember the chick that was the guest star, but she's dancing around this bar as she's singing this song, doing shots. And I'm thinking, that's not quite appropriate for little kids.
Well,
All right.
the Muppet Show was a
Didn't think,
primetime show. It was
didn't
never
think
meant to be
anything of
for
it.
little kids. It was
So then come upstairs the next morning and hear the Muppet Show again. And I hear them doing a Ray Stevens song, I Am My Own Grandpa. Oh, awesome. We were being taught about that when we were that age. Great. Our parents never clued. They didn't care.
well, I think they allowed us to watch it because it was the Muppets, but I don't think it was ever intended to be for children, a children's audience, because of the time that it came on. It was a primetime show.
It was on at 7 o'clock.
I thought it came on like at around 8 o'clock, but still, it was a nighttime show. It wasn't a daytime like a Saturday morning.
Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
cartoon.
Anything taboo was on after 9 o'clock. Anything that was family friendly was on before 9 o'clock. So, parents throw their kids after their bath in front of the TV to watch the Muppet Show while they go and, make their Ryan Coke to get them through till bedtime. You know, but yeah, I was like, all right, so that would not be allowed to be aired today.
There's even some of the cartoons they banned. They've taken a lot out of the Warner Brother cartoons.
Oh,
The
don't get me
Looney
started.
Tunes. The Looney Tunes lost so much of their cartoons from the past.
And the thing that I think about all of that upsets me the most is it's our generation that raised that
I mean,
to raise the ones that are having the censorships and the you can't do that, it's not this, it's not that. No.
to me, it's kind of like erasing history. I mean,
Yes.
those are shows that I
You can't
remember
erase it,
growing
you
up,
need to
and
learn
you
from
can't
it.
yeah, you learn from it. Okay,
Yeah.
some of the things shouldn't have gone by then, but don't just get rid of it. But
Yeah.
back to getting rid of it because some people feel offended. If you feel offended, don't watch it.
And if you feel offended, look at why you feel offended and don't make that mistake now.
Yeah,
You
can
know,
move on
like
from stuff, but
Archie Bunker, All in the Family. It shone a light on a lot of things that were wrong in that time.
Mhm.
They're trying to get that removed from all of the,
But
because it's racist, because it's this, because it's that. But if you watch the show, yeah, he starts out as a bigot.
Archie
His son-in-law
Bunker
is Jewish.
played
He
hand in hand with the
learns.
same time as the Jeffersons. The Jeffersons were actually
Yes.
on
Yes.
Archie Bunker.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying is throughout the process of that show, Archie's character changes. He becomes more educated. He becomes more tolerant. He becomes more understanding, and his opinions change.
Mhm.
And it's a very good,
But it's also an understanding of who he is being a bigot towards, and them putting themselves forward and getting
yeah, and
past
saying
his
like,
bigotry, and them
yes,
stepping forward and stopping his bigotry.
yes,
I mean, it wasn't like he was bigot and they shut them down completely. No,
yeah.
there was a meaning to every.
Called his son-in-law meathead.
Yeah.
My dad called all my friends meathead. That was actually, no, let me rephrase that. My dad only called the ones he liked meathead.
Yeah.
I remember a best friend asking me, we were in grade 4 or grade 5. She's like, I don't think your dad likes me. Why? Because he always calls me meathead. Well, because he likes you and he can't remember your name. If he didn't like you, he just wouldn't talk to you because he's not very good with names. But he likes you, so he calls you meathead. You should hear what he calls me.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows like that back then that I wish they would. They can't continue them, but they can make shows like that today. But they don't. They stay away from the controversy. They stay away from it, and then
Everything has been censored to the point where there's nothing good on TV anymore.
not just nothing good on TV, but you can't even go see a comedy show without listening to the comedian be a comedian.
Yeah.
Just let them be a comedian. They may say things that are racist, but they are also funny, and because they're not particularly making fun of one specific person, or they may be making fun of one specific person, but it's all in comedy and in jokes.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say racism is funny, but there are ways of telling a joke
Mhm.
and it being a joke, being funny and delivering that humor without having to be racist. I'm not, yeah, I can't do racism. I'm not blatant, you know, but sometimes a joke is just a joke, you know?
There's one comedian today who is still doing the same content of jokes that he's always done. That's Dave Chappelle. He gets away with it for some reason, and he's able to. I don't think they know how to censor him. I don't think he can. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And I would say hand in hand with Chris Rock, but not the same. Dave Chappelle will get away with so much more than what even Chris Rock would get away with.
Yeah. Yeah. Howard Stern's another one. He had the ability to say whatever there was no filter between the brain and the mouth.
Yeah, but they went after him, but I don't think that they penetrated him hard enough to where he
No.
stopped. But he
No, he
did.
just learned
He
how to
did.
reword
Yeah,
what he was
yeah.
saying.
That's it right there.
Howard Stern was not a stupid man by any stretch of the imagination. He started out with a lot of what he said for shock value. He was a shock jock. That's what he was. And it became so popular. And then when they started censoring him, he found loopholes around how he could still say what he wanted to say, still be as crude as he wanted to be, as crude as he could be, still talk about, boobs and butt and everything else, and do it in a way that
when
they
he
couldn't
was on
censor.
regular network television real late at night. That was another one of those shows that you have to stay up really, really,
Howard
really late
Stern
to.
show.
Howard Stern
I
show,
think it was
where
like
it was
1 a.m.
I think it was on channel 13 KCAL here. Or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. And we used to stay up late watching that. That one was one of those shows that you don't let mom know you're watching that show.
Yeah. They used to play it on the radio station here, Q107. And it would be on, he used to do Psychedelic Sunday on Q107. And he would be the radio DJ all day. You didn't miss Psychedelic Sunday. You got up like 6 a.m., went to church, did your thing, came home, locked yourself in your room, put the towel underneath the gap so that none of the sound escaped, and you listened to Psychedelic Sunday. And after Psychedelic Sunday usually ended around 11 p.m., and then they would air the Howard Stern show. So I would fall asleep around 2 o'clock. You could usually tell the kids that stayed up and listened to the Howard Stern show Monday morning, because we're all like, oh, I need to sleep. Like math class. All right, good night. This is why I suck in math, because math class was always Monday morning, first class. So I would sleep through math class.
There's another show like that real late at night. I think it's Morton Downey.
Yeah. I don't know if, well, you guys had Dr. Ruth Vestheimer.
Oh yeah, Dr. Ruth.
She did her show. We had
still doing it.
Sunday. Now, this show is actually on at like 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. And depending on how open your household was, depended on whether or not you watched it with your parents or you sat in the hallway and they didn't know that you were there listening while they watched it. And it was called Sunday Night Sex with Sue. Now, she was a little more in depth than Dr. Ruth. She actually came with props.
Yeah,
She would do
the
demonstrations.
name sounds familiar. Was she on a Canadian network or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think she was
Cool.
on our version of PBS or something like that. But yeah, Sunday Night Sex with Sue. If you get a chance, Google it.
I crossed the Canadian border one time, and it was at Niagara Falls, and I remember
That's where most people cross.
Yeah, I remember being at the hotel, and your censorship is so much more has so much more freedom than America television. I mean, so much more freedom.
Have you ever watched
I mean, and you didn't have to pay for it. You just turn on TV, and it's like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched British TV?
I love British TV.
You have to remember that at one point in time, Canada was under British rule. The Queen is still our monarch. We still pay allegiance to our Queen. So we still follow a lot of British. Nothing is taboo on British TV.
My favorite.
They don't even censor the swearing on British TV.
Yeah, I know.
Great. I love it.
Favorite British show, and it comes from the early 80s, was called The Young Ones. MTV would air it. MTV would air it. And there were British, there was like a preppy new wave guy, there was a punk guy, there was a hippie guy, and they all lived under one house, and there was a straight guy, like just straight cut suit guy.
Yeah.
And they would live under one house, and there was no rules, and the punk guy was always nasty and just like crude, and they would just do some crude, bizarre things, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's called The Young Ones, and I think there is a network that was trying to bring it back just recently, just trying the old episodes. But yeah, that was always my favorite.
I watch a lot of I don't know, I'm weird. I love reality shows, like, but I can't stand American reality. I'm sorry, I can't stand American reality shows. I can't stand Canadian reality. I was on a reality show.
Oh, really?
I did an episode of Outlaw In-Laws with Ellie Tesher. And what they do is they take two in-laws that are squabbling, they put them on the show, they set up scenarios, and they try and get the two in-laws to talk. And it was me and my sister-in-law. Now, what they didn't realize is that me and my sister-in-law, they offered us each $1,000 to do the show. And we're like, all right, you're going to bring in Molly Maid, clean my house. Perfect. You're going to pay me $1,000. You're going to shoot for 4 days in my house. Great. You're going to cater the entire event for 4 days. Even better. On the very first day, I scared the gopher, and he showed up every morning with coffee for me. Awesome. I got to see my ex in makeup. Now, my ex is a very man's man. So just putting the foundation on to be able to be on camera, that is a memory I am going to cherish for the rest of my life. It was great. Oh yeah, and then they had Molly Maid come back in after. It's a cleaning service. I don't know if you have Molly Maid.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Molly Maids.
They're everywhere, but then they had a cleaning service come in after and clean up. And the fact that I got to torment my neighbors, who my neighbors and I were in a constant feud. He was Greek, and he was the stereotypical Greek male that women don't speak. You cook, you clean, you bear the children, you don't have opinions. And he didn't quite know how to take me because I have very strong opinions. I'm very nature loving. If you're out there digging a hole on my property, I'm going to be standing toe to toe with you going, what the hell, dude? I'm 5'3". He was 6 foot and about as wide. And it was great because they put this film on the windows so that you can see out, but nobody can see in. 2 weeks after filming Wrapped, we had bought a van, and 2 weeks after filming Wrapped, this brand new van shows up in my driveway. And my nosy neighbor, his wife, she's standing and I'm backing out of the driveway. And the whole time we're filming, they're like across the street looking like this, trying to see in the windows. And they couldn't see anything. And the last scene that was filmed was in the front yard, and they had the big boom camera and the boom, like a whole 9 yards. And they did this whole, this is before they used drones. So they did this whole thing in the front yard where we're saying goodbye to Ellie, and she's leaving, and my sister-in-law are kind of standing there arm in arm, and we're all supposed to be lovey-dovey, and the kids are all playing, and then they raise up and do that long shot from the sky. So of course my neighbors are in their driveway just watching, right? So this van shows up 2 weeks later, and as I'm backing out, the wife actually comes onto my property, and she's standing right beside the van, and she's trying to look in the house, and I just rolled the window down, tinted windows. She looks at me, and I said, "It's okay, porn pays," and drove away.
Porn pays.
But reality TV in Canada and in America is not reality TV. Every single scene on that show was scripted.
Yeah.
They didn't say, "Here's your lines." They sat us down and they said, "Okay." Well, they sat us down separately. They sat me down and said, "Okay, this is what she said. This is how we want you to react. This is what you need to do." And they would go to her and say, "Okay, this is what she said. This is how we want you to react." And then they would put us in the same room, and then they would kind of like little wind up toys.
Sometimes alcohol would have that effect too. Here's a couple of drinks for you guys before you get into the scene.
That actually is you are not far off there. My ex was a big brewer. He would make mead, which is a honey wine. Mm. And that was one of the things, because it's one of the things that he did. And the whole premise was my sister-in-law had an issue with my spirituality and how we were raising the kids, and where I dragged her brother. So that was the big fight. So they went to a local brewery, and he got to brew this big batch of mead and everything. And they actually had to because they wanted to be able to taste test it after. Well, it takes like 6 months for mead to be ready to even think about bottling. Most mead sits for up to a year. So they actually had to go and buy wine and fill up this great big carboy with wine. Wow. They did like 16 takes. And by the time they finally got the take between Donna, my sister-in-law, and Phil, my ex, the two of them were like, woohoo, because neither one of them drank wine.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know, and what they don't see is, for somebody to be heard, they would need to be mic'd.
Oh yeah. Our sound guy, Chris. Oh, I tell you, our sound guy, Chris, that man had secrets and stories. We completely forgot at one point in time that we were mic'd. My sister-in-law and I, we had done our scene. We were in the living room. We'd done our scene. Director said, "Cut." And her and I kind of scurried around the stairs and up the stairs. And we're like, and we're whispering back and forth. And she's like, "Okay, so this is what we're going to do for the next one. This is how we're going to do it." And we come back down the stairs, and Chris is sitting in the chair, and he's got his great big huge sound box sitting on his lap. He's got his headphones on. He's looking at the two of us going, and we're like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
He heard everything.
What they don't realize
my
is
ex,
when you see somebody walk into a front door into their own house, unlocking the door, and there's a cameraman inside the house filming.
Yep, that's totally scripted.
That's scripted. It's all scripted. It's like, you don't realize. What do you think? They have cameras already in their house?
When Ellie
and what do you think?
up,
they're always mic'd?
Yeah, the opening scene of the show when Ellie shows up. Okay, there's the picture. There's the scene of me from behind. They're standing behind me. I'm opening the door, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, hi, how are you? We weren't expecting you. Come on in." Cameraman's behind me. Obviously, I was expecting.
So cut. Let's do it from the other angle.
Yes, let's do it from another angle. Like every single shot took 3 or 4 takes because they had to do it from different angles.
People don't understand. That's the production of the show.
Yeah.
Every show is produced, every show is scripted, and every show is edited. and
you
they
have to
don't
choose your
edit,
outfits.
and they edit the parts that they want to show.
Yep.
Even
Oh
if you're
yeah. Oh, they
giggling,
totally
there
did.
might be a part where you're giggling at a cat running by, and they'll have you on the show giggling at the
They
person on the show.
made me out to look like I was some crazy devil worshiping.
Now, how can we catch that show?
If you go to the Slice Network, it's called
Slice
Toil and Trouble. We are actually in reruns. We are one of the last I heard a couple of years ago, we are actually one of the most popular reruns for that show.
Toil and Trouble?
Toil and Trouble.
Toil.
Toil. Toil. You know, like cauldron,
Yeah.
boil and bubble, toil and trouble. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Because back then I was very pagan. I was very much into Wicca and, you know,
because the
all of that.
Sitcoms really, really suck. Sitcoms are bad. And because sitcoms are bad, reality TV is taking over. And
Oh, this would have been a great
I think it goes hand in hand. Sitcoms were lost because of the reality shows. And then they're trying to come back as something funny, and it's not.
I miss the sitcom, but
Yes.
I'll tell you one more story about the reality show that I did. There is a scene that you'll watch, and we're at the Y Marsh. We're supposed to be working together, learning to work together on this scavenger hunt, and they had given us this GPS thing and coordinates. So we had to put the coordinates in the GPS and follow the map through the Y Marsh and find each clue to the next, you know. They'd given us a broken GPS.
Challenges.
Yeah, they gave us a broken GPS. So the scenes that you see of us running down the boardwalk and walking through and finding stuff are all completely scripted. It's like, okay, we're just going to go to the next spot and you're going to pretend that you found it, and then you're going to get to the end and here's your gift. And what the only part about that entire scene that was not scripted, there were 2 gifts waiting at the end, one for her and one for me. I opened mine and I'm like, ooh. And she opens hers and she's like, ooh. And we looked at each other and went, oh, and swapped. I ended up with the picture of the sunflower. She ended up with the goofy scented candle.
Yeah, my daughters would do that during Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, but
I wanted to talk about your book before we leave.
Yeah.
The Chosen.
I guess that was the whole premise of the interview.
Oh, no, I told you this is all whatever we talk about. But I do want to get your book in. The Chosen, it's the newer of the two.
That's the new one,
this year.
The Chosen.
Okay. When was that released?
And because this was released December of 2020. Yes, December 2020. You can get it on mythmart.com. And if you actually really like it and you want to get a t-shirt, I have a Teespring account. You can go to my Instagram, you can go to my TikTok, and the link is in the tree. My Instagram is at Stephanie Bardy Author, and the link to my link tree is there. And then this one you can also get at MythMart. That's Eternally Bound. That's the first one. I'm in the process of writing the second one in the trilogy. And then this is the same book, different cover. Again, available at MythMart. It's easier if you're in the United States to buy from MythMart. If you're from Canada, go to amazon.ca. But if you want to support authors and artists, MythMart actually gives us a bigger chunk of the royalties than, say the big box sellers. So mythmart.com.
And MythMart, we're all part of MythMart.
Yeah.
Jazo Mod is a podcast of MythMart. That's where you will see My Public Life as American Nerd.
Yes.
And Lupa's Bits as well.
Lupa's Bits, the t-shirt is there. And the new one that
Myth.
just went up is the new t-shirt that just went up is the World of Myth Bits. They now have a t-shirt as well. So
now you will be there at Scare Fair on October
I will.
25th. You're gonna have I'm sorry.
October 30th.
October 30th. Be there October 30th. If you go the 25th, nobody will be there.
No, I will probably
October
be in
30th.
California on the 25th, but I will definitely be at Scare Fair on the 30th.
Yeah, be at Scarefair on October 30th, 9 a.m. to 9
Yes,
p.m. You will have a booth.
I will.
Myth Mart will have its own booth as well. It'll be the first booth
Yep.
when you come in. You'll be over with the artists area with the
Yep.
celebrities. Now, I want to mention some celebrities. Some of the
Oh,
celebrities that are going to be
there's a
there
couple
are
that I'm really excited about
John
seeing.
Massari he's a composer from the Killer Clowns. Lisa Wilcox, she's from
She's
Nightmare on
I
Street
met her and
4 and
I'm excited
5.
to, yeah.
Joe Bob Briggs from The Last Drive-In on Shutter, and also Darcy, the male girl, will be there as well. We have Walter Phelan from House of a Thousand Corpses, known as Dr. Satan. Eileen
Yeah, as long as he
B.
doesn't come dressed as Dr. Satan, I will be okay.
He does that, and I'm really, really,
He
really
comes dressed as Dr.
contemplating
Satan, and I'm
having
gonna
him
be
come.
under my table bawling.
We've
'Cause
talked about it, and I don't know.
I'm not gonna do that
Said
to
he
me.
could do it, but I'm not sure. I want him to be able to walk around freely as
Yeah,
well.
because that's kind of a
But
constricting, you know.
but yeah, I'm thinking about that.
I'm gonna be I will admit I'm a nervous Nelly when it comes to horror. I enjoy certain horror, so I'm excited, but I'm
We will have
packing my pillows so that I can go through Scare Fair like this.
we will have about 20 performers, characters walking
Oh,
around,
I'm gonna
roaming
need
around. We're gonna have Trix the Clown. She's gonna be on
I'm
stilts.
gonna
She's gonna
need
be
a
as
Prozac to get through the
yeah.
day.
There's a lot of people that love them, love to see them, love to follow them, and there's those that will be terrified. But they're going to be roaming around. They're also going to be in Psychotic, the
But
Carnival of Thrills. They're
the
going to
thing
be
about Scare Fair is it's a safe environment to be
oh, yeah,
afraid in.
yeah.
So that's why I'm excited, because I know I can go, I can have the pants scared off of me. I can do the whole girly scream, because I'm sure if somebody comes up behind me and touches me, you are going to see the whole cartoon running on the spot, hands in the air, girly squee, gone. That'll be just a cloud of dust. But
There'll be
it's a
comic
safe
book
place to be
writers there as
scared.
well. Comic book writers. We kind of
Yeah.
want to make this a comic, but kind of like a Comic Con meets a horror fest.
Yeah.
Stephanie, you're going to
And
be there.
yep. And then we've got the two bands that night to kind of blow off some steam and dance and
Yeah.
have a good time.
We have Roadwork, who is a cover band that plays the more popular type of music, and then we also have American Zombie, who is a Rob Zombie cover band, who's going to be performing the last show, and they look, sound, and act just like Rob Zombie. They're going to cover every song, every popular song from his albums.
They play Dragula. I will be a happy camper.
They're gonna play Dragula. I think a lot of the booths, okay. A lot of the vendors are allowed to close down at 6 p.m. and are allowed to go see the show as well. But there are vendors who will prefer to still cater to those visiting, those ticket holders that still want to walk around.
Midnight Madness.
Yeah. So
I used to be, yeah.
and there's going to be a day filled with different events. There's going to be the Rocky Horror
contest.
Picture Show with the audience participation. If
Bring
you
your toast.
Yeah, if you haven't attended one of that, they are very fun. There's going to be a cosplay costume contest with Lisa Wilcox. She's going to be the judge of that, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
My vampire then.
From Universal Studios. They're going to be there doing a live podcast as well. Very hilarious, funny girls. They will be there hosting the Scream King contest. So those are the acts. Be there. Scare Fair, October 30th. Stephanie, it's great talking to you. Great getting to know you. Eddie. Great getting to get a lot of information.
Nice to talk outside of the board.
Oh yeah, we talk all the time, and it's never. Well, I wouldn't say it's never this pleasurable, but we're always talking business.
I'll be honest, it's never this fun.
And it goes for 3 hours, 4 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing ever on a Sunday afternoon. So
right, Sunday evening for me. I'm eating dinner at 8 o'clock at night.
And the Grim Life Collective will be there too. I think you'll have some things to talk to them about because
Oh, yeah.
their show's awesome. If you haven't had a chance to see it on YouTube, they do some awesome stuff. They go
Yeah.
to some really creepy places, graveyards, famous people's houses that have passed, and they go ghost hunting as well. And
Mhm.
okay, goodbye everybody. We had fun. I will see
Thanks
you
for having
guys
me.
later. Bye. You're welcome, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.